I recently saw a child yesterday. The child is 3.5 and she was squinting. I said, was there a seizure? Was there high fever? And they said, there's absolutely nothing. And where did the child start squinting? And then after history taking and probing, the parents said that every day in the night she sits with the lights off with the phone and for hours together. In terms of mental illness, depression is 1 in 3, anxiety is 1 in 5. When it comes to autism, till 2020, it was 1 in 59.
Okay.
Now it is 1 in 35. So these statistics are growing.
A lot of people go to therapists or counselors seeking answers, I feel. Does that happen with you?
Technically, a therapist is not supposed to give you answers.
Hey guys, what's up? And welcome to another episode of the FitCru Show. Well, today we have a very exciting guest. In fact, she's also my therapist. I've gone to her for a lot of sessions, and one thing that I've learned about mental wellness is about taking time. And that's exactly what she says in her latest book, which is labeled Take Time. She's also a therapist who works with different children of different age groups rather, who have learning disabilities and who want to get better, who take time effectively. She's somebody who wears a million hats. Apart from writing books, taking care of clients, she's also won beauty pageants. So in this conversation with Dr. Alisha, we've not only spoken about how it is working with kids, adults and senior citizens, but it's also about who needs therapy. What can someone do if they identify they need therapy? For somebody to identify what is the right time to take therapy is a little bit of what we've discussed. So if you want to learn about what are the mental issues going on nowadays and how one can tackle them by taking time, hear this out. Welcome, Dr. Alisha. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you? Good morning.
I'm not used to shooting so early in the morning, but
Okay.
I know how pressed you are for time. So this is like a first podcast which is so early in the morning. So I might fumble here and there because
That's absolutely fine. In fact, I told you to schedule it at 8. Remember?
I know.
So we are late, Pratik.
As always, I am in my appointments also. So please, can you tell our listeners what is it that you do? Why do you do it? And what drove you to do it?
Okay, so I am a special educator and a counseling psychologist. I have been in practice for over 10 years now.
Okay.
And
So you started when you were 16?
is that how it looks? Then I take that as a compliment. I did start very, very young. And my first formal job was around 12-13 years ago.
Okay.
That was my first job. But if you ask me when I started working, it was immediately after my 10th standard. So the moment I finished my 10th, I had some tuition students here and there or some small work here and there. So work started very early.
Okay.
So that was one advantage, that I was used to working along with college that I had. The moment I left school, I was asked to teach in the same school.
St. Joseph's.
Yes.
Okay.
So I started teaching there, and I used to go there for maybe a few hours a week. Then they used to pay me 150 rupees an hour. Then that was good money to go to Jai Sandwich outside National College and eat something. So that's how it started. My first formal job was at a very nice setup at Goregaon.
Okay.
It was a setup where all the therapies were there.
All right.
So I was an educator there for multiple disabilities, but there we also had speech therapy, physio, occupational therapy, aqua therapy, visual therapy,
Solid all recovery.
counseling, yes. And I think I learned the maximum from there. I was there for a good 3 years.
Wow.
Before I took another step. And the other step was I wanted to be on my own, but
Don't we all?
don't we all, exactly. But then what happens is, if you leave a job and if you're in your early 20s, nobody's going to give you work. It's that simple.
Is that circle, right? Do you have experience?
Do you have experience? How old are you? Yes, exactly. So I started taking home visits.
Okay.
So earlier they were just around Goregaon because that's where I used to work. But then it went from Goregaon to Malad, and at the end of it, I realized that I was actually going from Churchgate to Daisar in one day, going to 7 different houses.
Okay.
That's how I started. A lot of people told me, you should have this one base and one place where you sit, but people should come.
Absolutely.
I can start off anywhere, but who's going to pay my bills and rentals?
Yeah.
So it doesn't work like that. So I started, and then I said, listen, I need to narrow it down. I can't be doing this every day, 6 or 7 days a week. And then dhire dhire, gradually I started a small clinic which operated 3 days or
Okay.
twice. I started once a week, twice a week, thrice a week.
Now you're working
And
on
then-
Sundays also, just by the way.
Yes. So
Okay.
then I said, okay, I'm done with home visits, and I still get a few calls.
Okay.
I'm still in touch with a lot of people where I did go for home visits.
Mhm.
But it's been 4 years, I think a little more than 4 years, that I've totally stopped home visits.
Okay.
So this phase that I had, the travel phase, was on for a good 5 to 6 years. 5 years, I think.
Wow. Oh wow.
Before I had one place.
So, what drove you to like pursuing this? Like, I know what drove me towards fitness, because it was always like something that just centered me. Like, it was something that
Yeah.
was my core. Even though I did different things in life, fitness and health was something that was just so I was so passionate about. But what drove you towards like mental health, and now especially the niche that you are? I feel the niche that you are in.
Yeah.
But what drove you towards that?
Psychology is something that I always wanted to do. When I was in probably the 11th or 12th standard, I remember my mother she still teaches at a school. And I went to her and said that I want to do psychology. And she said, listen, go home and we'll talk when you're home. And I said, I'm not going anywhere till you say yes. And she said, look, it has stats, and psychology has a lot of heavy subjects as well. And she said, what if you, now when you want to specialize in something, you have to do 6 papers of it. So she said, what if you take 3 of history or 3 of something else and 3 of psychology? I said, I'm doing 6. I'm not doing anything else apart from that. And I was really keen on doing it. So I did my graduation in psychology first.
Okay.
Then I did my bachelor's and master's in special education for multiple disabilities.
Okay.
After that, I did my master's in psychology.
Wow. All right.
And then I did like an MBA later on, and there are a few diplomas that followed. But what the good thing is that I didn't have any years where I was idle. So even after doing my master's in special education, I had a 3-year job, and simultaneously I was studying.
So you're always
working.
studying, working, studying.
Working in the same. I think that got over last month when I just finished my PhD.
So you've just finished your book, and well, I still need to get around reading that. But can you tell us that what does your book actually try to do? Like, what is the message that you want to convey with your book? Because all books that I have read, especially about health, I'm not going to just say mental health, but about health,
In
overall
general,
health in general. There's a message, there's an underlying message through each and every book that the author is trying to pass on. So what is the message that you want to pass on with your book?
So the name of the book is Take Time. Take time has 2 meanings. One is that you need to take time, and the other implied meaning is that you need to give yourself that kind of time.
Okay. How is that different?
One is that you have to give yourself time. It's a mandate, so you give yourself time.
Okay.
Okay. And the other one is you accept the fact that it's okay to take time.
Okay.
Take Time is about people with disabilities. What are the commonly seen disabilities?
Okay.
And how is it that parents can help their kids?
Okay.
Now, what happens is, like I said, there are many therapies. People are not aware about it. Very often, when a parent is told about, say, a diagnosis, they have so many questions. Kya karna hai? Kahan jana hai? This is something so new to me. I've never heard of something like this. This book is a very simple read that tells you about the different disabilities,
Okay.
the level of severity, and when you should go to who.
Okay.
And how is it that you as a parent can also help. So that's how it is.
So it's like a starter pack.
You can call it that.
I mean, just to put it
Yeah.
like, yeah, I think even I do the same. Like in terms of nutrition, it's like a starter pack for you to understand that, okay, this is probably what my child or my spouse or whoever
Yeah.
or me, for that matter, is I could probably classify into these broader categories of issues that I'm facing, and this is the right profession. Because honestly speaking, even I did not know when I was, not happy, or I was anxious,
Yeah.
or feeling lonely, and who should I go to? Like, who is the right person? Do I need to go to a psychologist? Do I need to go to a psychiatrist? Do I need to go to a counselor or therapist? Is like it's. I mean, it's so easy. Like, I mean, right now, if I have pain in my joints, I know I'll go to
Yes.
an ortho. If I have pain in my gums, I know I'm going to go to an orthodontist.
You're right.
But this is just so complex, and you
And
don't
there's so
know.
much stigma attached to it, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's
so much stigma. There are some people who, when they're entering clinic, now my clinic is thankfully not on the main road. And that's been a very selective decision because people are not comfortable. Now, I can't start it on the main road, like say Hill Road, Bandra, main road, when people are not going to be comfortable. So there is so much stigma attached that, no one should see me. Okay, I have a neighbor or a relative who's in the next building. So I should enter when they are not there.
Yeah.
So I tell a lot of people that, look, you can come to me once if you're stressed, if you're anxious, if you're feeling low, if say you're confused in the career that you got into. You don't have to be mentally ill to see me. There is this old thought that a person visiting us has something majorly wrong or is probably pelting stones.
Yeah.
It's not like that. And that is something that people need to understand over there.
No, I think also there is in today's time, there is just so much confusion. There are so many options in every aspect, right? With respect to career, relationships, not just work, but the kind of people that you want to work with, which area you want to spend most of your time in. There's just so many options, and that creates so much confusion and clutter in everybody's head.
Yeah.
For that, it's always good to have somebody like a mentor who can speak to you and make you realize that this is what you want. A lot of people go to therapists or counselors seeking answers, I feel. Does that happen with you?
It does. See, technically, there are certain rules that therapists...
I just realized that I came to you seeking answers.
See, so technically, a therapist is not supposed to give you answers. Okay? I'm supposed to guide and navigate and help you cruise through.
Yeah.
But what if someone has come and said, listen, I can't get it.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Now, according to the rules of therapy, I'm not supposed to guide. But I mold a few rules according to my convenience.
Absolutely.
And I don't see that as wrong. Okay. So if someone says, listen, I have no idea. And I know, I can see that if I don't guide, they're probably going to do exactly what they want, which is going to be a blunder.
Yeah.
I will help them navigate through.
Obviously.
And if I need to probably tell them, listen, don't take lane A and go into lane B, I will in my own way. But I won't make it stringent in terms of, you have to do it. I'll tell them, look, I think this makes more sense. Think about it. And then you channelize them through that. But I can't say that, oh, my job is only to navigate you. A therapist is technically not supposed to tell you even when you're right or wrong.
Yeah, I was watching this show called Shrinking. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it starts, right?
Yeah.
So, when how many of your patients are children versus how many of your patients are adults? Like, what is the ratio?
Before COVID, there were a lot of kids. Okay. Now with schools resuming, from the past 6 months, again, there are a few kids.
Okay.
The presence ratio, I think, would be 75% adults.
Okay.
25 kids.
And usually, what are the, I'm talking, I think now we are have post-COVID withdrawals. So I think we're almost done with COVID, I feel so. The after effects are still there in our head, I feel.
Yeah.
We're still kind of recovering from it.
Correct.
But in today's time, what are the main issues that you face?
The screen. Screen-related addictions. Okay. And because of that, there's been a total lack of socialization.
Okay.
So a lot of people who are still not comfortable in crowds, a lot of them tell me that, so I had someone who recently told me that, I have this gaming party today. And I said, lovely, who are you meeting? Oh, it's all online. So everything is online. You aren't really seeing a person physically in front of you, and that creates a lot of fear to even go out and meet people.
Are we creating more introverts as a society now? Do you feel so?
It can lead to it.
Okay.
Because if I'm so comfortable in my own skin, wherein I have so much of validation on whichever social media site I'm on, app I'm on, and I'm getting everything through there, and I'm feeling very satiated. Why would I want to go beyond my comfort zone? Oh, yeah. And that's where you have to intervene and break that. Because that's not healthy.
And what kind of issues come up with that? Like you said, there are multiple therapies and multiple diagnoses. So do you feel that screeners excessive screen time is actually leading to maybe depression, anxiety, any specific form of mental health illness?
So I'll tell you with kids. I recently saw a child yesterday. The child is 3.5. And from the child, I see kids who are 2.5 also.
Okay.
with delayed milestones and probably certain signs of autism.
Okay.
So 2.5 is like the starting that I see. So yesterday I saw a child with 3.5 and she was squinting. And when I asked the parents, they said, it was completely fine till 3 months ago.
Okay.
So I said, was there a seizure? Was there high fever? Generally, an epileptic seizure can cause different kinds of physical changes. And they said, there's absolutely nothing. Then where did the child start squinting? And then after history taking and probing, the parents said that every day in the night she sits with the lights off with the phone and for hours together. Then you have to join the dots somewhere. And this is just yesterday.
Okay.
So you don't know what it will cause. Now, this is something physical and I can see it. But sometimes it may cause something even psychological.
Okay.
And a human being needs a human being in physical proximity. So a screen is not going to be able to compensate for it. So that is also
What is the child doing on, like a 3.5-year-old child doing on?
Oh, they have so much to watch. They have their share of content, which is non-academic for their age group. Sometimes they even scroll through their parents' WhatsApp content, which parents also need to be aware of.
Okay.
A lot of times parents say, my child used this particular word. And
Yeah.
we don't know where the child has picked it up from. And the first thing the school says is, maa baap se seekha hai, and the parents say, school se seekha hai. That is
Typical.
very
blame
typical.
game.
That happens. And then you actually go and check that the child has actually picked this up from WhatsApp. If you've given your child the phone, have you locked WhatsApp? Have you locked your personal messages? And that is still coming in, and your child has access to all of that.
There's so much insight to this because so we just started giving Zen his phone, like a phone
Okay.
for him to play on, because we both are of the opinion that this is inevitable. He's going to get a phone, so we might as well restrict screen time and give him some time to learn what he has to do on the phone and just get a little smarter around the phone. So we put certain apps. There is a phone dedicated for him, and he has certain time on it, and he plays on it, and he has certain games on it. But we just started noticing that he started blinking a lot. Like he's blinking a lot, and now we are like, how do we stop this? Should we stop this? Is it good? Is it bad? We have no idea.
So there are different ways of looking at this. What you can do is, firstly, if not the screen, a tab or a gadget a little at a distance. The brightness should be minimal considering the age, and there needs to be a time. So someone like Zain, who's 4,
Yeah.
not more than 30 minutes at a stretch.
Okay.
That helps. And for adults, according to statistics, our screen time should not increase 4 hours.
Throughout the day?
Yes, so we all need to keep a check. Yours will probably be 4 hours at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I got an update right now from my phone that my screen time is 16 hours, 5 minutes. Average weekly. Like daily for the whole week.
16 hours is crazy. No.
And I'm sleeping for like 7-8 hours, so
You're on the phone all your
all
time.
the time.
You need to drop it. So there are different ways in which we drop it. One is drastically you tell yourself, I'm going to drop it by
Cold
half.
turkey.
Cold turkey, no one
I
can do,
know.
but yeah, half. Another way is you wean it off slowly. So 1 hour a week I drop.
Okay.
Different ways of weaning it off.
So people come to you with so many issues
Yeah.
all the time. Don't you feel like you become a sponge? And like, how do you de-sponge? Like, you're just absorbing so much.
Yeah.
There is just, everybody is coming and telling you that, okay, this is the problem I'm facing, this is the problem I'm facing.
Yeah.
My parent is like this, or my spouse is like this, my issues at work are like this, and they're just dumping their entire thing in a very weird way, I'm going to put it, but they're just dumping it all on you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what do you do for your health, for your mental health?
So there's one thing which I would say has come to me as a blessing, which is the power to disconnect.
Okay.
Okay. So I know if one session is 1 hour, that belongs to that person. The moment that person leaves, it's next. So that 1 hour belongs to another person.
Okay.
I don't take breaks between sessions because I don't have that kind of time and liberty.
Take time.
Take time, yes. I need to apply that in reality. So I don't take breaks between sessions. So I know I need to disconnect and connect immediately, which is possible. At the same time, there are certain patients that leave an impact on you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you can't disconnect like this because it hurts
Yeah.
when you see someone in a lot of, like I also deal with cases related to trauma, abuse, molestation, rape. I can't disconnect from those. It
sure.
takes a lot of time. And it gives you goosebumps sitting there hearing someone out, So that takes time.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I can disconnect. That's one. I have started working very early. in life. So I have finally realized, sadly, only a year ago, that I need to take breaks.
Okay.
The decade that I was studying, say from the time I started, the one decade, 10 years, I don't remember doing a single trip. I have not even
Serious?
gone on a Lonavala weekend for that
Okay.
decade. So I didn't travel, didn't do anything.
Saved a lot of money, I guess.
And it all went in my education, of course.
Yeah.
So I finally realized 2 years ago that listen, it's not going to work like this. And I promised myself 4 trips a year minimum.
Wow.
And I'm doing that successfully.
Okay.
So mid-year, I've already finished 2
Okay.
and I will plan another 2. This started only, say, like 2 years ago when I said I have to go. So even if there are appointments, even if there is work, I have to disconnect.
Yeah.
When you're young in practice, let me tell you that if you're not available, people find replacements like this.
Yes.
And that has happened. So even if I'm dying with fever, I've still gone and taken a home visit. Even if there's like knee-deep water,
Yeah.
everyone's home. So I've gone and taken all the home visits. If there are train strikes, you've probably taken lifts from people, done anything and finished off.
Yeah.
But now I know that I need to take those breaks. So I travel 4 times a year. I have started, let me put it like that. I make it a point to take a weekly break.
Okay.
So if I'm working on a Sunday, if I'm working on 2 Sundays, in 10 days, I'll at least take 1 day off.
Okay.
That's one thing that I do. I've also started socializing a lot more than I did. So our profession is a formal profession. So earlier, I would never post personal pictures or anything like until 6 months. Even if I'm going out, the tendencies of bumping into people are very high because we have a very small Bandrakhar
Yes.
social circle.
Yes. Yes.
I would feel very odd. I would not like it. And I would stop doing that. So I would not do that. But now I do that. And I say I shamelessly do that and I don't care.
Yeah.
So I think last week I bumped into 2 patients at one club somewhere. And one I recognized, one was 4-5 years ago, so no, I didn't recognize. And someone else happened to introduce me to that person, saying that you all know each other. And I said I don't. And later on I realized, but I prefer to keep it at I don't.
Yeah.
So it's okay. We can have a social life as well, right?
Absolutely.
And it's okay to propagate that. You can't be formal, and I can't only post pictures of me reading books and watching educational movies, because at the end of it, I have age in my favor
Yes.
and I can't do something I'm expected to do probably 3 decades from now.
So I also wanted to ask you that, I mean, for our society, like especially in India, the careers that we are in,
Yeah.
they weren't like those stereotypical careers. Like, like I'm an engineer as through academics. Like I've done my engineering, and I come from a family where the girl was either a doctor. My sister is a homeopath. I'm an engineer. My brothers are engineers. All the girls are doctors. So I come from that kind of family. These careers were not in the limelight when we were, trying to find our career. So when you decided, or when I thought decided really late in life, but when you decided, what kind of struggles did you face in life? Like,
So let me tell you that my mother is also a special educator for multiple disabilities, but then they were diplomas and not degrees. So she had kind of put a seed in my head that, there are degrees, you should consider it now. So that was easy. When it came to psychology, a lot of people told me that you're going to hear out people's stories and always going to be dukhi for the rest of your life. It doesn't work like that.
yeah,
Someone else said that it was very sad that someone said you're going to deal with kids with disabilities, which means you're only seeing that around you. So the chances of you having one are very high.
oh wow, okay,
So, there is society and they will say what they have to, but I have a brain of my own and I know what to put through my ears and what not to. And I did exactly what I wanted to academically. And a lot of people ask me, if not this, what? Honestly, this is exactly what I wanted to do. So there's no second option that I have. I don't know what I would have done because this is the only thing I wanted to do. And it's not been like a new thought. It has been there when I was a teenager, like at 15, 16. So I've done this all my life. I breathe psychology. It's like that. So I'm very happy where I am. And I always tell people to choose a profession. You take a gap year, but choose something that you'll continue doing.
yeah,
Don't choose something and then leave it midway. You need to be sure about what you want to do. And when you're confused about a career, what should I take, this or that? I tell them, think, when you see someone working, do you ever see someone working and say, Ari, I want to do this when I grow up?
Like a role model.
Maybe a role model, maybe someone working in a particular profession. Do you ever feel, Ari, mujhe ye karna chahiye?
Okay.
Then you see what they're doing, see what their background has been. And then we call it backward chaining. You go backwards as to how is it that you can do that.
Okay.
That's a good way of.
So, we've spoken about struggles. I wanted to ask you the issues with children also. Like mainly what children are facing nowadays. Like I have seen certain terms being thrown out a lot. Like ADHD, which is something that wasn't there when I was a kid. But now I see ADHD and other terms, clinical terms, being thrown out not just for kids but also for adults.
Yeah.
How much of it is true and how much of it are people just trying to label themselves with? You know what I mean? Like people
Yeah.
are, I feel people are trying to fit in by fitting out, by saying that, okay, I have this issue.
Yeah.
Have you noticed some of that kind of
So
pattern?
see, ADHD and ADD are two terms used.
Yeah.
Okay. ADD is attention deficit disorder. ADHD is the same thing, but the H stands for hyperactivity. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it is very common. It is 1 in 5.
Okay.
But you don't need to label every fifth person that you see.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like academics. They don't like studying. Right? So there is attention deficit because I don't like it. That does not mean I put them under the ADD bracket or label them as that.
Okay.
It is common. It is there. It affects few people in their occupations. Not all. Sometimes people like a label to rule it out. That I know I have this and that's why I can't function.
Yeah.
People want it, they get tested. If it's not required, there's no reason to get it tested. Let me tell you, there are a lot of disabilities that are very common.
Right.
Like I said, ADHD is 1 in 5. Learning disability like dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia is 1 in 5. When it comes to autism, till 2020, it was 1 in 59.
Okay.
Now it is 1 in 35.
Okay.
In terms of mental illness, depression is 1 in 3. Anxiety is 1 in 5.
Okay.
So these statistics are growing. Now, whether you want to label it or not is a very personal choice.
Okay.
Sometimes labeling gives people a setback to not go ahead. Sometimes they feel, jaise chal raha hai, chalne do. Now, I am, as a professional, not very in favor of labeling. Because people feel it's like a stamp, I can't go beyond this. But I don't see it like that.
It's kind
So
of a barrier that they set in there.
Yes. So like even I would do all the tests at clinic, I never propagate it.
Okay.
If someone tells me karna hai, then I'll probably do it, not otherwise.
Now that we spoke about different issues with mental health,
Yeah.
how much of it do you think impacts your physical health?
All of it.
All of it. Okay. Now, could you elaborate a little more? Like how does it
So
work?
there are a lot of people who come up with these aches and pains, for example. Okay. Body aches. All your reports are clear. There's no report under the sun that has ever proved something. But there's just this body ache that goes on for years.
And does it keep moving throughout the body?
It's just general cross.
Okay.
What is that? When there is, I tell people, if you suffer from something and all your physical reports are clear, your blood test, sonography, MRI is clear, then it is anxiety driven.
Okay.
Or probably there's signs of low mood, signs of depression.
Wow.
Whenever your physical blood tests are all clear, but you're still suffering from something, it's because there's a mental base to it.
So it's not physiological, it's
Psychological. Or it can actually be like a mental illness that a person is suffering from.
okay. So is there I'm sure I think therapy is the second step. Is there a step one that one could do to, I wouldn't say avoid therapy because I think therapy is a need. I think it's just so important. But I would say that basic general mental health hygiene. I work out for my physical health.
Yeah.
I try to eat probably 80% good whole lesser processed foods. So there are certain healthy habits that I try to follow. For your mental health, would you have any specific exercise
Right.
routine?
See, like hygiene in all aspects is important, like the sleep hygiene also. Sleeping on time, waking up on time, staying away from caffeine. That's sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
Mental health or coming to a therapist, let me tell you, is not the second step, is probably the second last step for a person.
Okay.
Because everyone does not think like you that it is required in general. They first go to their general physician, they first go to their friends, relatives, neighbors, general physician, who will suggest some more tests. Then they'll go to another general physician, then they'll go somewhere else. And when they're just fed up to another level is when they come to us.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of stigma attached to our profession. So I don't think they come immediately, which I wish they would.
But I think that's also because of a lot of lack of awareness of how it works.
Yeah.
But like coming back to the point, like I feel that there could be certain things, like let's say we're talking about depression, loneliness, anxiety. These are common mental disorders, right? Or issues
Difficulties
that people face, especially in today's time where everybody is just on their own, on their screen, working alone, going back to a place or going back to a home where your partner, spouse, parents, everybody is on the phone doing their own thing. My mom is on WhatsApp, my son is on his phone, like I told you. My wife is probably on her laptop working. So although we are together, but we are kind of distant, right? And it creates this sense of loneliness where you want to, rekindle the bond. You want to make your bond stronger with your loved ones. And that's a little difficult to do because everybody's just so occupied with what they're doing, and they're not wrong at what they're doing either, right?
Yeah.
But is there certain ways where you can improve on these issues? I'm not talking just with respect to relationships, but I'm saying in general, like, okay, somebody wants to avoid something like a depression or loneliness or anxiety. What are the basic hygiene steps that one could probably observe?
Okay, so let me tell you that first we all need to keep in check of our moods. Like people do their routine blood tests every 6 months. There are very few people who come to us and say, "Are we doing mentally fine?" So it's good to check if you're actually doing mentally fine.
Okay.
If you feel low for very long, that is something that you need to get checked. Spend quality time with people that you like.
Okay.
Remove toxic people from your life, even if you've known them for decades together.
Okay.
Have certain time which is family time, without your screen, without any gadget. Or play a sport,
Okay.
cultivate a hobby. That'll make you feel a lot better mood-wise. And give your day some structure.
Like
You
a
should
routine.
know, sorry?
Like a routine.
Like some routine, like you're working 24 hours a day. Or we have 24 hours a day. I tell a lot of people to do this. How many hours do you sleep? How many hours go in eating, working, miscellaneous, bathing, brushing? Put that together. A lot of people can't go beyond 14 hours because they don't know what they're doing. Some reach 32 hours. I tell them, come down to 24. See where you're wasting time. Give it some form. It's okay to spend some hours in leisure, but your entire day can't go like that.
Yeah.
It's okay to work, but your entire day can't go like that.
Correct.
So give the day and 24 hours the right proportion of everything that it needs. Like you'd have on a plate for yourself to eat.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I would understand. So, yeah. I wanted to ask you about this. Like, what's the difference between IQ and EQ, and how are they important? Like, because I think IQ. Okay, I'll ask you, and you tell me what you
IQ
think.
is intellectual quotient.
Yes.
Now there is actually a bell-shaped curve. If I had a blackboard, I would have drawn it and shown it to
Okay.
you. Now, the normal IQ of a person is said to be 100. Ranging 5 more or 5 less, that's 95 to 105. Anyone with an IQ more than 100 is said to be a little above average. Like Einstein, they say is 140, 160.
Okay.
People under 100 would have probably certain delays. There's no concept of no IQ. You have to have an IQ.
Absolutely.
But then there would be intellectual disabilities if the IQ is under 80.
Okay.
That's the concept of IQ. EQ is emotional quotient, where a lot of women taunt men that they have a poor EQ. And EQ is how you attach emotions to a person, an object, the people in your life, and how emotionally connected you can be. They are both completely different concepts. They can correlate sometimes, but there's no mandate that they have to.
I think people with higher IQ have lower EQ. Is that
Okay.
true?
It's not necessary.
This is what generally I've observed. Like people who I don't even think that they have a higher IQ, in my opinion. The people
Okay.
that I've come across, they might not have a higher IQ, but they think they do, and they might have. I don't know. They sound smart also sometimes. They might be 105, 110, maybe I don't know. But the EQ is so pathetic. Like I am using the word pathetic. It's so bad because they don't have emotional connect. They don't know how to hold a conversation. They're so full of themselves. They are just like on and on about the certain things that they work on, the profession, and that's what I've observed. Do you think my observation is very specific to a certain audience, or is that generally what you
See,
observe?
so higher IQ would generally be 140 plus. I would call that a higher IQ.
Okay.
Or a superior IQ. Sometimes those people are very academic oriented.
Okay.
And maybe, now see, like I said, it differs. But maybe because they're so academically inclined, or they're so sharp in that one area, that the other part of their life has taken a back seat.
Okay.
There are some people who genuinely don't understand social skills. Like you have to tell them what to do in a social scenario. How is it that you have two-way communication on day 1, day 2, day 3?
Yeah.
That doesn't come naturally to some people. So that would be a completely separate area.
Okay. I think the more we talk, the more we understand humans, and so
Yeah.
it's just such a complex thing.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to our next section, that is called struggle and strength. Like I told
Okay.
you, the idea of that is that we're going to have these cards. These cards are struggle and strength.
Okay.
So these cards are going to be drawn out at random. You will pick them up.
Okay.
You can pass it on to me, or you can read it yourself, how you
Okay.
prefer. And each question is about where you might have struggled. It could be something about you. What do you do to cope up with things?
Okay.
It could be as simple as what's your favorite book, or what kind of music do you like listening to, and why. But it's to keep that spontaneity in our conversation, and also know that, okay, what does somebody like you who is so set in your field do to cope up with things?
Okay.
All right, because we always have this, like a lot of my clients have this entire misconception that, you know what, Pratik, you're a fitness coach and you must be eating really healthy and you must be working out 3 hours a day. Like, no, like I probably get like 3 workouts in a week at max, at best. And last night I was like having Cheetos and ice cream. So like, you know, we are also humans.
Yeah.
Even though we have picked a specific area of our life to study, educate ourselves and help people out with, doesn't mean that, you know, we don't have
Right.
our coping
Right.
mechanisms.
So I'll pick it and then you can read.
Done.
And I'm going to peek first.
So how would you define success in your career?
Nice one. How would I define success in my career?
Like, what would make you feel that you've been successful?
I have had this wish to write in every single newspaper that exists. Write or be quoted in.
In which, in the world?
In India.
Okay.
So I have written for over 10.
How many of them do, like, how many do exist? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there are quite a few of them. So
Okay.
I do write a monthly column in 2 places. I used to write in another one. And
Do they pay you? No,
I'm
right?
not going to answer that.
They
So
don't.
I never pay to write. That's one thing I'm very clear about. That I have never paid for PR. Because I feel if you're generally good, people will pay you or they'll call you on board.
Yeah.
But I've never paid for that. So there was this one newspaper that hadn't replied to me a year ago, and yesterday from nowhere I had a lead and they've asked me to write for them.
Okay.
So for me personally, it would be if I wrote in every paper that exists in our country. So there are few left. So when I'm able to tap them, then I'll call that success.
Wow. Oh, I hope that happens. I don't even know how many people are there. Like 10, I can't even name 5. You've already written for 10.
Oh,
Okay. So this happens in my life, and that's why we have this question.
yes.
We all have failure.
Yes.
Right? How do you approach failure in your personal life and professional life?
Okay.
And what is your take on failure?
See, professional life, yes, they can be failure wherein you've tried to deal with something to the best of your capacity and you can't. If I've actually made a mistake, I would apologize,
Okay.
even if it is a child. I don't have that ego that yes, probably I did make a mistake. In my personal life, I wouldn't call it failure because I think we all goof up at some point.
Yeah.
How would I deal with it? If it is a person, I would deal with it differently. If it is a situation, I would deal with it differently. So there'll be
Okay.
different ways in which I would deal with that.
So personal life failure, like let's not call it personal life failure because it's not about relationship, but I feel like, let's say, a moment for me in personal life failure would be where probably I was studying for something and I wasn't able to complete it.
Yeah.
All right, let's say I was doing my engineering and I failed in certain exams. At that moment, like, I was never academically smart or brilliant. I was probably in the last 10 or last 15 ranks in my school because I just didn't like studying. This one thing I like studying is nutrition, and I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
But that's because I have interest in it. I realized that I didn't have interest in those things of history, geography, and all those things. But when I failed in school, or when I failed in even in engineering subjects, uh, it was very difficult for me to accept that, you know what, I am constantly going to fail at academics. And that's when I went to my grandfather and I told him that, why am I doing it? I'm just constantly trying to learn, but I'm not able to do it. It's not happening. But everybody around me is saying that this is what you have to do, and everybody in my school is doing so well. People in my college are doing so well, but I can't do it. I don't know what to do. And he was like, it's okay. You can't do it, but you can try. You try doing whatever you can do best. But this is not going to define your life. It's just school. And at that time, school was everything for me, right?
Yeah.
College was everything for me because that was going to shape so much in future for me. And he was like, it's fine. It's going to go. This is not going to define your life. And then he told me this story about him, that he was in the Air Force. And after that, he went to the postal service. Like, he was a government employee. So he went from the Air Force to the postals, then from there to the railways. And he was like, he had also done his science major, whatever. He's like, I've studied so much, but I couldn't land a job. So then I landed up a government job and I kept doing that. And now I'm retired, I'm on pension. But I think I have a very wholesome family. I have 4 children. I have this, that, like, I have grandchildren who are coming to me for advice. All this is happening. So I feel my life is successful. That time I felt that I was a failure. But now in hindsight, I feel I'm fine. Yeah. So I mean, I feel that failure in personal life is always a learning curve. Professional life, yes, it can be challenging. Like, I still get a lot of clients who call me at different hours and are like, dude, this didn't work for me. Why did you suggest this? And
Yeah.
like you said, you have to apologize. We are all trying.
We're all trying, exactly.
So I think we are at an age where a lot of things are uncertain. Like, maybe work-wise, family-wise, growth-wise. How do you manage uncertainty and ambiguity in your life?
Oh, my life is full of uncertainties and ambiguities.
Is it?
See, even the profession that I'm in is so uncertain. I think more than half of my day goes there. When I'm in clinic, I don't know what or who's entering next.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're coming with. So I'm very used to uncertainties. In fact, if there's something stable, then that's something I'm not used to. It's the other way around.
Stability is a problem.
Yeah.
But do you think that will probably no, I don't think it. But would it like kind of impact when you would reach this point of stability? Because, like, it can get a little challenging, right? When everything gets boring around. Or would that be interesting?
No, I think that would be another change. It would have another charm to it. I'm quite used to going with the flow.
Okay.
So for me, change does not take that much time. At one point, I was rigid in that. And I'm very used to it. Okay, what next?
So now that we're wrapping up, what are the next life goals for you? Like, is there something on the cards? Like, you want to plan, like you said, your center is there, but apart from that, like, in terms of practice and newspapers, is there something that you are looking forward to?
I think I need to socialize more.
Okay.
So at one point, I didn't get into every week I have to do something.
Okay.
6 weeks I did sustain, and then I got fed up. And then for 2-3 months, it was quite a lull phase.
Okay.
And I think that needs to get back, because that one meeting with your crazy friends makes you feel so much better for the rest of the week.
It's important, right? A good social life.
It's
like
very,
human interaction.
Very important. So I think that is something that I definitely need to work on, which, like I said, is there. But I need to have it more often because I also become a little lazy then at the end of the week. So that's one thing that I need to work on. Travel plans, I want to structure them better.
Okay.
So that's like the second thing on the cards.
And any specific like kind of destination that you look forward to, like, or like I don't know. I just think of you as
Ladakh has been on my mind for the
That's exactly what I was gonna
longest time.
I was like, when you are constantly around people and
Yeah.
you are talking to people, because even I started seeking those kind of destinations where I'm in quiet peace, not a lot of like either a beach or a mountain, or like
Yeah.
there is not a lot of noise around.
And that's like the best therapy ever. I tell a lot of people, you need a holiday, you don't need therapy. Because
Yeah.
some of us actually need a break and a good one with the right
Yeah.
people around you. In fact, it was just last evening that I was looking at Leh Ladakh only as the next one. The next one will
Universe is
be...
conspiring.
Yes, so the next trip, the next travel is to Guwahati for my convocation,
Okay.
which will be in September or October. And I'm going to club that with Bhutan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Like I saw a post of the Four Seasons over there, and it was mind blowing.
Yeah, so... And maybe Arunachal if I'm lucky, because it's all near the northeast.
Okay.
So that's on the cards next.
Wow.
So let's see where I go after that.
Great.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking up at your travel photos because you said you will be posting them now.
Yes, I have started. Though I think there's been too much that I've posted in the past 1 or 2 months. I generally don't post too much. Personally, professionally, yes, I do. I have to. But that's something that I'm working on as well.
Yeah, it's difficult for us to find balance of how much of personal life has to be there, how much of professional life.
Yes.
And with all this deep fake shit happening here and there, AI being morphed, I don't know, like it's kind of scary also to share personal info out
Yeah.
there. Suddenly I've gotten into that space. Otherwise, I'm somebody who's like a creator who's moving around with tripods and gimbals
Yeah.
and recording. But now I've tried to, create this space.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
so
this conversation with me and letting our listeners know of the importance of mental health, how important it is to seek professional help, not delay it. How could people, tackle it in their day to day, and how easy it is to navigate through it. Yeah,
Thank
and I think through your book we'll be able to learn and understand better. Once I read it, I would definitely want to post about it.
Thank
And speak as much as I can with my clients about it, because I think it is so important for everybody to know that what is it that they like. Even if when we have a fever, it's so easy for us to just go and grab a Crocin or a Calpol or whatever.
Yeah.
Nowadays Dolo, but for any mental health issue, we are just so lost. We don't know what to do. We'll speak to our friends. We'll kind of seek that immediate dopamine from somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas we actually need to do a lot of deep diving and understand ourselves better.
Right.
So that's my opinion, and I hope people take that up, because I've seen so much benefit out of therapy. I feel everybody needs therapy. I don't know if everybody can afford therapy, but I feel if they cannot afford therapy, speak to your friends. Have somebody that you can speak
someone
to.
to speak to. Right.
Yeah. But great. Thank you so much.
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and I'll be getting in touch with you for your nutrition plan.
Yes.
And for my session again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.